Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new here. And we are going to use the Rebel deck to get our weekend vibe on. Happy Saturday. Let's see what we got. Oh, you know what? We've had so many of these. I'm trying to get one that we didn't have just recently. Laugh. Absolutely. Where the fuck is your sense of humor? Yeah, we talked about some different coping mechanisms this week. And I got to tell you, forever, for always, laughter is going to be my favorite. Humor is going to be my favorite way of coping with anything. And I've shared before, I used to be a police officer. So my humor can be kind of dark and insensitive. And I find things funny that a lot of people don't. But that's how I cope with things. And when you look at how many of the stand up comedians, they laugh and they like to make people laugh because their lives were full of trauma. And that was how they coped with their lives. And how many comedians have we lost to overdoses, to suicide, to just, drugs and alcohol because they recognize the power of laughter. And when you've been through trauma and pain, and you see other people who are suffering as well, and you realize that, wait, I have something that could help them, and that no matter how much pain they had in themselves, their ability to make other people laugh was their driving force in this lifetime. And God bless our comedians, right? I love stand-up comedy. Um, Anything that gets us to laugh. Do you know what laughter does to your body? It is one of the most mood altering things that we can do is to laugh. And when I said that, I said earlier in the week, I mentioned how I don't watch TV. And again, it's because I like to be careful about what I feed my mind. So when I do watch TV, it's generally a movie or it's a comedian that, their whole thing is about humor. So they're probably not going to be fear mongering in the middle of their stand up routine. That doesn't cause a lot of laughter. But I watch comedies and I watch comedians. I will read funny stuff and watch like some of the dumbest videos on YouTube. Like one of my favorites, if you look up the blonde antelope, it's like a 1 to 3 minute video, depending on which one you find, cracks me up every time. Every time. And it's the dumbest thing ever. But those little things can make such a big difference when we're having a bad day, when we're having a rough moment. Like when I was a manager, I kept a shortcut to the clip of the blonde antelope on my computer. And when things were just outrageously dumb through the workday, I would go back to my office and I would sit down and I would play the blonde antelope so I could laugh and just kind of get myself out of that like ugh moment. And another good one, the Office quarterback. I believe that's what it's called. I've had it saved long enough that I forget sometimes, but it was a Super Bowl ad way back, but it is hilarious. And I'd kind of forgotten about it because I hadn't used it since my management days so much. And we were talking about how Miley attacks me when I come out of the bedroom in the morning. And I'm like, she's like the Office quarterback. And no one around me knew what I was talking about. So I pulled it up on YouTube, and we all almost wet our pants watching this video. It's priceless. Things like that. That that is the best medicine to elevate our mood, to release all of these positive chemicals in our body, lower our blood pressure. There's nothing better than a belly laugh. to completely change your overall everything. And that's where, again, I give so much credit to comedians, because you think about when you spend 2 hours straight laughing, you feel amazing. Amazing. And I can't imagine how much effort it takes to come up with 2 hours worth of content to make people laugh. Or if you have the ability, when someone's having a bad day and they're obviously down, and you can find in their situation some sort of humor, ironic, sarcastic, any kind of humor. And that's something that apparently I've been missed for at work, because I look for ways to brighten people's day. I look for ways to make people laugh. And in my industry, that's unusual. It's more uh, mm, very male dominated industry, and there tends to be a lot of testosterone. So it's more, fuck you, fuck off, which may explain my language. I've literally been in male dominated fields my entire professional life. That's where I fit in. I was a tomboy. That's what worked for me. And so that's where I'm comfortable. And also why I present my topics, my information in this way. Because if you're already uh, hell bent on personal development, you're past what I'm doing anyway. I'm looking for the people that this is new. This is new information, helpful information. You know, uh, I'm not talking to neuroscientists. It's for those of us who got left behind on the whole self development, personal growth boat, where we're back there like, what are they doing? How come they're doing that instead of what we do? Because it's just what I grew up in. What I accepted as normal. And I didn't realize that, oh my gosh, there's this. I knew about psychology, but like I didn't realize what a difference it would make to have an understanding of psychology, and how our emotions affect our body, and ways that we can reprogram our mind, and how these specific habits and developing these skills and character traits are going to completely change my existence and how I view the world, and the fact that, for the love of Jesus, what I'm finally happy. Now, I'm not a clown that walks around laughing all the time. Some people would beg to differ. They're not around me all the time. I'm usually having a good time, regardless of the situation. Sometimes inappropriate. I've been told that a lot, but I'm good with that. If I'm being inappropriately happy, then maybe y'all need to lighten up. But what I'm saying is, by understanding these concepts, by learning these new things, we can change our entire existence. I went from someone who had the victim mentality, um, depression, anxiety, eating issues like food issues, eating disorder, abusive relationship, failed relationships, money problems, mental problems, because I didn't know what to do with all the shit that was going on in my head, in my life. Uh, I had no direction on it. I always knew I liked laughing. I just didn't do it very often because I was too swamped under all the other garbage that I didn't understand. Once I started learning these principles, once I started learning these concepts and actually applying them in my life, that's the building blocks we talked about. Because you can know it, but until you use it and you do it, it becomes a habit. It starts to change everything about your existence. You become someone with a sunny disposition because you suddenly realize how little you have to allow things to affect you. You find your stability within. And I can't even describe the change that happens as you go through this process. And that's why I was so excited about sharing that information with the people around me. We talked about leadership, how you accidentally become a leader as you start implementing these things in your life and people see the change. And I just wanted to share, like, oh my gosh, guys, look, check it out. We don't have to be miserable. Like, newsflash. And in my world that I was existing in at that time, and my environment and the people around me, like, this was groundbreaking. You know, like we'd been under a rock for decades or something, but it's becoming more mainstream now. And I wanted to be able to share with people just from the place of, I want people to feel better. I want people to understand that life doesn't have to be a struggle. We can laugh. We can laugh a lot once we get our shit together to where we understand why we haven't been laughing already. Because we are creatures, individuals, created for joy, created for love, for passion, for laughter. But until we figure out our bullshit, we lose our laughter. And I can't think of anything better than, well, okay, love. Ultimately, love, then laughter. So I hope this helps. I hope that some of this content is helping you understand how to transform your mind, how to take action in your day to day to make your life more enjoyable, easier, more navigatable, and to understand how your brain works so that you can work with it and become the person who really gets themselves. Because once we get ourselves and how we operate and we reprogram the bullshit, we're unstoppable. I want that for more people. The courage, the self-reliance, that feeling of being in your power and having joy and laughter and not feeling like life is happening to you, understanding that it's happening for you, and that no matter what, at the end of the day, you can make a different choice. You can make things completely different. They have the potential to become what you want them to be. So, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this helps, and I will talk to you soon.